Happy holidays! I've got a gift for you. Buy 4 tarot readings or coaching session gift codes in any combination, and you'll receive 2 additional gift codes too. So use all 6 codes for yourself or share them with friends and family as holiday gifts, stocking stuffers, or maybe even birthday presents. These don't expire, so you can feel free to use them and share them throughout the year. Merry Christmas, and thank you so much for being my friends. Hi there, Aquarius. This is your weekly reading for the week of December 21st. I wish you a very Merry Christmas and a wonderful holiday season. The first card you've drawn is the Emperor card. And the Emperor card is great because it's a card that's good for people who are not afraid of authority or even projecting authority onto others, because it always means that they are balanced and fair, and they don't rule with the iron fist. They rule with a firm fist, so there's nothing dictatorial about this kind of energy, and it's really great for you because it means that either you're feeling this way, you're projecting it, or you are being put in a position of authority and you're starting to get used to it and it feels good. For some of you, this might indicate that you're taking on a leadership role, or somehow you have fallen into it. Regardless, the universe says it's time for these experiences, and somewhere down the road it's going to be very advantageous for you. So these experiences, whether stressful or whether you're looking for a job and you realize you're not getting hired for the positions that you seem overqualified for, I guarantee you're not sure of that, and then it will come to you. You'll understand that you really need to be shooting a little bit higher, so it's just like anything else. You can't make a 3-point shot if you're not at the 3-point line. So with Mercury in Capricorn, your solar 12th house of the subconscious, the hidden, the things you don't want to think about, the things that when you do think about, you somehow start a cycle of self-undoing. These things are sextiled by Chiron in Pisces, your solar 2nd house of your resources, the material goods that you buy, the things that you value, and the things that you do or don't feel worthy of having. And on the contrary, some people feel that they're not worthy if they don't have the particular things that make them feel valuable. Like I use as the example, the best known probably is the Mercedes-Benz emblem. And when we see that, we think, wow, expensive. But some people see that and think, I need to have it because that will make me important. It will let everyone know that I've achieved something. And that's not really the case. So in this case, with the sextile to the 2nd house with the 12th house, there might be some unconscious motivation to acquire. And for the most part, this is an obvious one, right? We feel that we need to get that thing that we never had as a child, in example, and that we won't feel good until we get it. And I guarantee you, if you go get that thing that you always wanted as a child, you might look at it and somehow it seems smaller and less important. And that's because at that point that you have that feeling, you realize you've grown past it. Or some people, when they go buy a very expensive automobile, again, just that example, because we all know that you really don't need anything other than a vehicle to get around that's reliable and suitable for you, right? And then people get that thing, and then when they're choking on the payments every month, they're saying, God, I should feel better, so I will say I feel better, and it is worth it. And when I can't afford food, I'll get in the car and smell the interior. So the idea of this is actually a good one. It's not a negative one. It's really just saying, hey, keep in mind that you are not your possessions and that your possessions don't define who you are. Likewise, being the house of self-undoing, the 12th house sextiling the second like this could indicate that you're about to over-identify. Okay, that sounds like ka-ching. Spending too much money, maybe eating out too much, maybe buying the things that you really don't need. Maybe what you really need to do is sit down and find another way to satisfy yourself, right? Like when people start eating too much, it's because usually they're thirsty and they have fallen out of the body's cycle of saying, hey, I'm thirsty, I want water. And then the usual way we go is what? Gosh, a soda and some chips would be so good right now. So you just have to untrain yourself, just kind of train yourself out of that thought. If you've got a little bit of money and you've got Christmas fever and or the sales are calling your name, just stop and think to yourself, am I thirsty? And then you'll remember what it means. Just tell yourself. Rita said to ask myself if I'm thirsty when I reach out to buy one more $20 lipstick that I don't need because I have 500 of them. I'm one of those people that I hardly ever wear lipstick, but if you come to my house, you'll probably you'll see why there's too much lipstick here. But and that was probably from one of those ideas I had where I just needed to have a lipstick in every freaking color and in every shade of that color and in every texture of that color and in every consistency. And then if it smelled like chocolate, I was just like over the moon. So keep that in mind. The sun also enters Capricorn, that solar 12th house, so it will shed light on these things if you would only look. So again, whenever you see something shiny, ask yourself if you're thirsty. And this is the beginning of the winter solstice for us in the northern hemisphere. So welcome winter. It's something we can't avoid now. On Tuesday, the card you've drawn is a Five of Pentacles in reverse. And this is just a card that indicates you could be feeling a couple of ways, but primarily it would be that you're feeling back in the fold somehow, or that you had some mad money and you thought, yes, this is how I love to feel. Don't we all, right? If you have a couple of coins or almost singing a song to you in your pocket. And so the Five of Pentacles in reverse could also indicate that you and someone else that you either cohabitate with or partnered up with, a business partner, very close friend, a lover that is more of common law marriage, okay? So it could even be a best friend that's become this kind of thing that's always there. Always reminds me of The Odd Couple. Both of you could be feeling pretty good. So that means like two people that are spending too much money. Or it could be that you're feeling like, well, nobody really wanted us anyway, so let's just go buy something. Or really, if you're some of the people like most of us, that we don't have that kind of extra money, because if we're going to go buy this $25 thing that sparkles and calls our name, then if we thought about it prudently and sat down with the budget, we'd realize that it would make us feel better in the long run if we put those $25. Where do we put it? I always tell everybody under the butter dish in the refrigerator, where you keep the refrigerated butter. Don't leave it out, where the soft butter is for toast, because then you'll be inclined to pick it up and spend it again, or do things that people do, which is just insane. They go to, I always say this, that one coffee house with the one thing that might as well be poison or gasoline, and they're paying $5 for it. I want you to come to my house and give me $5, and then I'll make you a cup of coffee. So just make sure that you don't put yourself out. Also, I guess I should say that you could actually overspend this season, and then you won't notice it until about January 8th, January 10th. And then you're going to be like, oh crap, you actually went and did something like got a credit card and charged it up thinking, and I'm just going to pay it off when it comes anyway, and then it'll be great on my credit report. And then you realize that you spent the other money because you gave this person that last minute gift that, So just let those feelings go. Are you thirsty? On Wednesday, we have the Queen of Wands in reverse, and this is probably a familiar figure to you. I don't know why. I don't know if I've seen her a bunch in everybody's readings right now. I can't remember, but I keep harping on her. She keeps popping up and wants my attention, right? So here, The Queen of Wands in reverse could be a fire sign female. Of course, you know the drill, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, or has these rising sign features, or is just somebody who reminds you of a fiery individual. And sometimes it could just be a strawberry blonde chick, or it could be a woman who dresses in red, somebody who likes red things, identifies with lions or tigers or cats. Whatever it is, you get the idea. She could just be a person who is overdoing it at this point. For whatever reason, she might be leading you astray down the path to destruction, right? The road to hell is paved with good intentions. And so this could be a person that you have embodied and that you're becoming, or this could just be somebody in your world. She has a tendency right here with the Five of Pentacles and with that Hermit card next to it to try to manipulate things by showing you the way and the truth and the light, but again, it's about selling you something or getting you to do something or getting you to invest an idea or telling you those stories that make you think of this sparkly object that really should mean that you're thirsty again. So if she doesn't represent something financial going on here that isn't as it seems, and by the time you find out it's kind of too late, then this is a person who might be, she could be a romantic interest for those of you that are single and looking. She could be a romantic interest for those of you that are married and not looking, but then she looks at you and here we have to do something about it. So beware the snare. This is the type of person that, again, could kind of lead you astray in one way or another. Doesn't mean you have to fall for the trap or the trick. So if she doesn't represent that, again, this could be somebody who comes across as the salesperson. Remember the days when you'd walk through Nordstrom and somebody would, come up to you, would you like to try Lulu? And before you said anything, they spritzed your mouth and you're like, oh, that's happened to me a lot. I've turned it on them and sprayed them with things before they've sprayed me. I used to pick up the samples and spray them. So think about it this way. Whatever this woman is doing, it's probably not in your best interest. I think that there will be a great majority of you that will see this a mile away. And when you go, oh, she's going to sell me another case of Sham Wow watch, but she's going to call it Wow Sham and think, I don't, And so again, even if this is a family member or, or a person who's able to kind of chew like a mouse, that little hole in the corner of your billfold, that's what I'm talking about here. Keep in mind also that we've had on Monday, I forgot to mention the Mars Libra. Mars is in Libra, which is your solar ninth house of legal issues, legal matters, immigration issues, higher education, higher learning. When you get a surprise in January, it could be that student loan bill, the one that you forgot to pay on purpose. So just keep in mind that there could be issues related to this. And for some of you, there could be issues related to your spirituality, your higher calling helps you maybe swat that Queen of Wands, put her back down. The semi-sextile that it makes to Jupiter and Virgo being your solar eighth house, this is the house of transformation, of death, of taxes, of the fruits of the relationship, the sexual, the intimacy, the combined assets, the combined debts, right? The joint resources and or the lack thereof. And if you are not in a relationship, it doesn't matter because this is just whoever's close to you. And if you are alone, of course, it identifies that hole right there that you want to fill. You're like, I wish I had somebody, which don't wish too hard. It will show up at the right time, if it's meant to. If you chase it too hard, you can end up with the Queen of Swords. So with this in mind, the semi-sextile here is reminding you to keep track of those community debts, joint considerations as they relate to your financial big picture, the bigger picture down the road, somewhere down the road. What was the goal supposed to be? Do you remember? I don't remember. Were we thirsty and instead of getting a cup of water, we ended up stuck in Claire's, or something for too long. And you go in thinking you're going to buy a $3 thing and then you turn around and you've got like $30 worth of stuff that now you're like, oh my God. So here you have to just remember that with the emphasis of this Queen of Wands with a couple of adjustment energies, or like this semi-sextile that we need to be thinking about. It could be a good thing. And again, the semi-sextile can sometimes be reminding us that if we're spending money or if we're, I don't want to say, let me rephrase this. I was about to say something I didn't want to say. When we're not telling the complete truth to somebody, because And we may be deluding ourselves. Maybe we're not being completely honest with ourselves. And we're thinking, well, my husband just really wants another set of golf clubs. And then he comes back with like a $4,000 setup and, an elf or something happening where we might be thinking, hey, look, I thought this was conducive to, and it isn't. And we need to get back on track, because it's kind of like these energies are working together to do something common, but you guys are distracted, or one of you is distracted. And if it's you and the cat, one of you is distracted, and you just need to make a minor tweak here to get back on track, and you'll see how easy it is. Also, here on Thursday, the Hermit card on Christmas Eve is talking about that illumination that could come at the moment that we least expect it. Maybe it's after you slid your card, through the credit card reader, and you purchased something that you're like, oh, and I told somebody I was giving them something special, and I hinted at it, and $4,000 basketball court and elf, and now I realize that really wasn't conducive to the debt that I need to repay. So, of course, that's just an idea that I'm giving you because the season makes this obvious. Although, there are those of us that don't have money, and even if we did, we'd be like, oh, God, hide the money, because I know what it's like to not have, and I don't like debt, and I won't have it, and I don't want it. You know what I mean? There are things that we just learn through trial and error, and like me, it's probably a big smack in the forehead of a mistake. Also, Venus in Scorpio, which is your solar 10th house of the career, your reputation, your chosen profession, your reputation as it precedes you, the idea of what people understand you to be in that world that is your public image or the profession, career. And if you're retired, of course, then you can imagine that this is more or less who you are, the identity that you created through what it is that your service to the world is. It doesn't have to be employment. It could be your work that you do, spending time with shut-ins, going to the homes and writing letters for them and spending time with them, or being there for other people in a way that people notice. This Scorpio is sextiling Jupiter and Virgo, again, that 8th house. So remember that your image is not necessarily what you create, but sometimes it could be what we're trying too hard to project. Just be who you want to be, do the best you can, learn what your limits and boundaries are, what your own goals by your definition are, because the transformation here with Jupiter and Virgo, as well as the North Node, there is a message, and the message is about somehow better aligning your joint resources, your career path and goal or service in the world. Or example, you're an author and you're really not out there, you're putting it out there, and that becomes your identity in the 10th house. And the 8th house could be transforming anything from how you do it to how you come across. This is a good thing, though. And how you can perhaps reduce your overhead so that you can put money away and start saving. So the 8th house always wants you to have a cushion, I remember when I was about 20, the advice was to have, I believe it was a year's worth of expenses in savings. And this was at a time where there was no bubble, there was no crunch, there was just money everywhere. And I was working in the financial institution end of it. And I was like, wow, that's going to be hard to do. And then I found over time, once I wanted to have a baby, so this was before I wanted to have a baby, I was spending it as fast as I could get it. And then I was working other side jobs that threw more material things at me and money to buy more. And then when it occurred to me that I wanted to have a baby, it occurred to me why that 1 year worth of savings would have been a good idea, and or the down payment for the house. So then in quick order, I was expecting, I was saving, I was buying a house. That it was just boom, 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 because I realized it was what needed to be done. And then I remember when it was brought back down, once there was some financial hardship on the world stage, and I ended up having about 6 months, and I'm going, oh my God, I feel vulnerable. And then I was married to somebody who panicked about money all the time, and I'd have to throw the checkbook at him and say, you keep saying we don't have any money, and there's $5,000 in there. That's for the bills. No, 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 no. That's after everything, and you're making me anxious, and then I remember when it got down to about 3 months worth, and then when I decided I needed a divorce, those 3 months worth went quickly. So the transformation I went through also slapped me in the face with why I should have been saving more appropriately for what mattered to me. Now, you don't have to buy a house. You could even live in a place where it's impossible to do. And so you're like, yeah, no, because I'm just going to end up having to buy in Iowa, and live in Southern California when I'm working there. So just get the idea that this is probably going to come to the forefront, and it doesn't have to be like a critical stop. It isn't. This is more of a definition that's occurring to you. And if it is your spouse, or if you are the spouse or partner that is spending too much money or resisting the change to becoming more fiscally proficient, I don't even know if that's the right way to put it, but that's what it feels like, then you need to just think about it a little bit. Don't squish the holidays, but hopefully at this point, whenever you hear this, that you have in mind, if you have overspent, it can be corrected, and feel free to do that. Feel free to put energy into going, okay, no sense over crying over spilled milk. I gave the gifts away. They can't go back, but then think about what your plan is to reduce this in a way that's responsible, but doesn't take food off your home cooked meal. Okay. Also, Uranus will be stationary at this point, so the anticipation will be wonderful. And I bet if you got a house full of pretty things, shiny things, I like shiny things too. You should see I've got like 4, 5, 8 different fingernail colors right now. It's very shiny though. I gotta tell you, that's very shiny. Now, as we get into the vibe for Friday, we have the Queen of Cups. This is a water sign female, and both any of these females or males, transgender, whatever flavor. It could be a very masculine, or excuse me, feminine. Now I'm forgetting all the flavors. Geez, every time I turn around, there's another one and I'm lost. I just won't have any. So this Queen of Cups could be a water sign female or a very masculine, oh God, there I go again, freaking feminine female. Oh my God. Okay, so a feminine male. Okay, how about like one day we have no genders and everybody's going to be like blurry and vanilla with a tan. So she is talking about the full moon in Cancer, which happens at, I believe it's 11:11 Universal Time, 3 degrees Cancer, which is your solar 6th house of your health, your routines, your pets, the service that you provide to others, your acts of service, your job, your to and froing and toing. And this is about the routines that you keep every day. So a full moon here, which is trining Neptune in Pisces, your solar 2nd house, again, of those resources which you identify with, the shiny things, the ones that you have, the ones that you want to give away because you're a monk today. Whatever it is that's going on here, there is almost an epiphany where you're like, whoa, I get it. Wow. Reminds me of something that my son said, that he was at one of his girlfriend's relatives' house, and he was giving me the play-by-play of his thoughts, feelings, and their level of spending, and apparently whether they get along or not was apparent, or at least perceptible. And it reminded me of this full moon. And then when I saw his emotions change, it made me feel good because he was indicating how much he liked the way we did things, which is me and 3 kids, right? I don't really have anybody. So, we have each other and we've got a great family. It's just very small, very good, very sturdy, and so he was even telling me how much he didn't identify with what he was watching. And that's what this kind of moment reminds me of, where you're saying, wow, I personally am watching my own situation going, weird. Now we've got a bunch of shiny things. And immediately when I opened them, I started thinking about, tax period. So the epiphany is your friend. Mercury in Capricorn, your solar 12th house, again, that subconscious, the things we fear, the things we don't want to face, which we should, because then they're not monsters under the bed anymore, right? This semi-squares Neptune in Pisces again. So there's something calling out from your subconscious, maybe because you came from some level of lack or perception of lack. Or there could have been quite the opposite. And, every year at Christmas, Toys R Us threw up all over your living room, or your parents stressed out about buying the right gift or the label or the name brand, and you're like me, I vomit at these things. I would buy a knockoff just for the sake of saying, see, I won't do it. You know what I mean? And I'd be the one to buy the bad knockoff just to say, I won't wear a label unless you paid me to wear it or gave it to me. And that's where sometimes in the 12th house, we're trying to identify what this feeling is, and we have a tendency to push it away at about this time of year. And even around this solar period with the sun in Capricorn, for Capricorn birthdays, it has a tendency to make us or enable us to see what our associations have become with the material and with the tangible and with the shiny thing and with the dollar sign, and or the people that run around with every damn new iPhone. And I'm always like, well, to me it's all the same. I know a little bit of a backstory there, so of course it makes me giggle a little bit, but I think that this isn't a major adjustment, because I know you're thinking, she said square, I said semi-square. So this is where we need to realize again that, let's say your childhood was difficult like mine. It's hard to explain. I've given you guys different stories over the years, and my dad was just a nightmare, and my mother was so passive, and financially they worked together like magic, both earth signs, and they saved every penny to do the right thing, buy the house, have the car used, but we always had one, have the truck used, but we always had one, have the boat used, but we always had one. And then they remodeled the house. And it's kind of hard for people to believe that my dad was the only one working, but he also worked a full-time and a part-time, and he did a million other things on the side. And I thought, if you ever wanted to see two people acquire all the right things, that was what they did. And so we didn't have lack, but I remember a little bit of fear associated at different times. But I'm probably imprinted with one particular time when my dad was on strike, when the company was on strike. The other thing is, though, I might remember more than my siblings because I was the youngest, so my mother kept me with her even when they were doing the bills, when they were budgeting, and I remember their conversations, and I can tell you almost verbatim some of the things they said. Yet I went through a period of time where I was grossly overspending, and then a period of time where I had everything I could want, and then a big period of time where I didn't have any money to dick around with because we were negative. I was negative. I just didn't have anything. And so at times I can identify with when I overindulged my children for a few years. That was over pretty quick because I knew it was just wrong. And then this is the same effect in your 12th house, though. So like me, I can almost pinpoint, because of my Virgo rising, to my Scorpio, freaking histrionic, if anything, I could pinpoint for you these different reasons why I did different things. And so remember that just because you didn't have every single G.I. Joe toy you ever wanted, that if you collect them all and you just spend $998.99 on every single one that you wanted, you're probably going to feel a little deflated because we can't go back to where we were. Now, if you got your friends together that you had in the neighborhood and you played with, it would feel good for a little while. But then again, when Capricorn talks to us and Pisces talks to us, we might have a tendency to fantasize about these things and recreate. And if I could just have that one exact holiday Barbie from whatever freaking year it was, I will feel better. And then, you go and you spend $348 on that. And you're like, what have I done? And somebody says, but it's a collectible. And I'm like, oh, God, So just make sure that you are not putting yourself in a position where you're trying to quench that thirst, right? And in the end, it burns your bank book. So also with that Mercury in Capricorn trining Jupiter and Virgo, the great thing about that Capricorn in the 12th house, that your solar 12th house Capricorn with that trine to Virgo, you should be able to see, you will get an insight, you will see the beauty of it all. It will start to come together and you're like, wow, I remember what Rita said. That's why I'm doing it. I have the biggest, most gigantic theater system in the county now, in my house. And it's great. And everybody loves it, and they all show up at my house, and we pop popcorn in a real popcorn popper, and it's like a theater, and it smells like sweat and heat. I'm kidding. And then you're like, and every month I'm paying for it. And then when I actually sat down and did the math, this, $5,000 monitor thing is going to have costed me $18,000, and I could have bought a car. And so these realizations sound like a little bit of a bummer, but I'm telling you, they're good ones. They're the kinds of epiphanies that sometimes are like, whoa, you won't get me this time. Sham, wow, sham lady, get it out of here. I can't have it. I don't need it. I know you're lovely. Your freckles are cute, but I can't have it. So this is really good for insight, especially for those of you that are female. Also, especially for those of you that have a Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces female around you, or their rising sign, or they just come across this way because the Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, Queen of Cups tend to be very intuitive about their advice. And there could be somebody that says, hey, look, come here. I don't want to sell you sham wow, although I am licensed to wow sham you. But the thing is, I'm going to let you know, if you just wait until February 15th, it's going to be like 43% less. And then there are bonus coupons online, and you're like, whoa, I just met the psychic coupon lady, and she told me what to do. And you'll see, it'll all work out perfectly for you. Watch, it'll be good. But this is a time to take note, because remember that Mercury is also in retrograde shadow. So Mercury in Capricorn and shadow, it's a little bit dangerous because we don't see where we would overspend, but I think you have enough. Excuse me, I have to crack my neck. There are enough other little identifiers that will help you make sense of this. And you know how it is. We have problems when we're 20, and then when we're 40, we're like, oh yeah, I know that one. I don't want to sing that song again. Also, with the sun parallel to Mercury, it helps us really get this message across, even from the sub to the superconscious. So it's almost like you can't even, once Uranus, even in Aries, your solar third house of communication, short distance travels, the journeys that we do close to home, the things that we have to learn and communicate every day, or that we wish we should, or that memo you did or didn't write, all of that will come together, and you'll see that the information actually helps you help someone else. Saturday, you have the 5 of Swords in reverse, and this is great because this is when Venus in Scorpio will sextile the North Node in Virgo. Venus in Scorpio being your solar 10th house of the career, your fame, your reputation, your chosen profession, or the hobby that has become your profession because you're that much of a badass, you're retired and you do your thing. And so this sextile will actually give you a sense of direction in where to take even that dividend or your union retirement fund, where you realize, whoa, I've been paying off this credit card, and I just read that it would be better for me to put it into a CD, sit on top of it like a goose, and then pay this at this time. And, there could be some indication here that you know what to do about something related to the taxes, to the joint debt, to the joint resources, to the lack that is preventing you from making progress in one way or another as it relates to the community effort that is you and your spouse, or you and your best friend or partner, or again, you and that dog. Mars in Libra will semi-square Saturn in Sagittarius. So again, Libra, Mars in your 9th solar house. And that will give you some new information to be aware of, or perhaps be wary about, as it relates to Saturn in Sagittarius, your 11th house of your friends, your group associations, the social sector, the money you make from this 10th house chosen career or profession. So the semi-square is really just asking you to make good use. I want to say make hay while the sun shines. That's what I want to say. So while you've got the extra money, or God forbid, you got that bonus that's burning the hole in your wife's pocketbook, because sometimes that's where it goes. And you might again get that epiphany like, I'm so glad I didn't buy that new laptop. because I got to pay this thing. And I realize as soon as I get this paid, then, and it could be that debt from your student loan, and it could be something associated with immigration, naturalization, or some progress that you can make in a court system, legal system. And it doesn't have to be the higher courts. It could even be just like the collection agency that might be represented by the ninth house. So you'll be glad that you were in tune and aware. Venus in Scorpio semi-sextiling that Mars in Libra. Again, Venus in Scorpio, 10th house, Mars in Libra, the ninth. This will give you the ability to kind of, kill two birds with one. Let's not kill them. Wait. Distract two birds with one stone. So at the same time that you might be making some plans based on what you hope will happen for you at work, first use that same opportunity to get whatever this legal thing is, or immigration, or a debt to the student loan, whatever that thing is. Don't plan so far ahead. I like to think about it like this. I love to think of the positive, and I always look forward to good things. But my Virgo rising makes me very anal retentive, and at times I am glued to the floor. My ass is glued. And what I mean by that is that I know the practical thing that needs to happen, and I will not flinch until that's done. That's the kind of energy here that you will have. This Mars will help you get it done. It will help you say, look, I can't guarantee that I'll have this job next year in February. So I'm going to take this bonus and put it right under my ass in cash. No one will know I have it. No agency can see that I have it. I'm not asking you to defraud any entity. I'm just saying when it's in cash and it's under your butt or in your butt, or whatever you do to keep it secret and safe, will benefit you so that you can make progress and have a cushion in case something bizarre happens. And no, I don't see anything bizarre happening. I'm trying to give you an idea of how to take something that could be challenging or a concern or anxiety and take some blessing little thing that comes through and then apply it to a column there in your accounting book that makes sense to protect yourself with. I'm just giving you a little a heads up advice. I'll be giving you more information about your finances in your 2016 reading, which hopefully, if I don't kill myself, I am not sleeping much, you guys. And it's crazy because I have a lot of things on my mind, and they're not bad things. My mom stressed me out today. And I was thinking she's about to like lay some spanking kind of thing over the phone on me. And I knew why. I mean, she's in this funky mood, and my stepdad's an ass, but those are her choices. And, so I can't be anywhere near there. And I know it makes her sad, and I thought she was going to cry. Right. And then I had to tell her dreams about dead people. So the moon in Cancer, the moon will go void, of course, in the evening. And the Five of Swords in reverse is, again, that kind of ShamWow moment that just because she's cute and she bounces up and down, doesn't mean that you need to buy all of her books or ShamWow or whatever. Just say, hey, you know what? I can't afford to buy them right now, but how about this? Leave me your business card. And if I can't buy them, if I can afford them when I have a need for them, I will give you a call. End it right there. Now, if the witnesses come to bring you a watchtower, they don't want money from you. I remember my dad loved to invite them in. And he'd always give them a quarter. And he just loved, even when he was older, he just loved to let them in, and he loved to talk to them and hear about whatever they had to say. He loved the company. And witnesses, I got to tell you something, not everybody agrees with what they believe in, but who cares? Everybody's entitled to some flavor, whether it's a Bruce Jenner, some atheist moment, or I don't care. Everybody has that right. And yet my father was just the best conversationalist with these people who I always found to be super sweet, very gentle, very loving people. And so remember that even if it's somebody asking for a donation, if you can't afford it, don't. If you've got $50 burning a hole and you were going to buy a new game for your game system, you could probably spare 5 of those to give them to a fund if you know the charity and you know these people, they usually have credentials or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Even if you gave them pocket change and you weren't sure, I always remind people those could be angels at your door and you don't even freaking know. So that's kind of the energy that you have here when you have the Five of Swords in reverse, that there is There is a mistake that could be averted here as it relates to the other cards, which, I'm looking at this and I see how that Five of Swords guy is kind of, if I moved them, he would be looking at that Queen of Wands. So just be careful with the fire sign person who could even put on a sob story. But, I need this donation. Yeah, but my kids have to eat. And, look, it's me cooking and it's me against the world. Sometimes the Five of Swords in reverse could indicate that an outright theft can be averted or has been, and or someone trying to deceive you gets caught like red-handed in front of your face where, cops show up and there go the spinning lights and they pick up the fake Jehovah's Witnesses. So on Sunday, we've got the Moon card here in reverse, and this is not a bad thing. The Mercury in Capricorn trines North Node in Virgo. Again, so much that you're working out from your subconscious. If you subscribe to the idea of past life associations, where we could have this remnants coming up almost like a filament of the past and of some childhood experience or early childhood, or it could have been when you were in your 20s going through a difficult period and something here is ringing a bell and you're like, please don't ring the bell. The Moon here talking to that North Node in Virgo trine is saying that the transformation will occur when you acknowledge what it is, right? Back to the idea of the monster in the closet, the monster under the bed. And at some point, like when you get a parent and they're ready to help you, and you're saying, but there's a monster. And then the parents come and say, look, let's turn on the light. Let's look at this. And they're going to calmly but surely not be pissed at you for waking them up, because that exactly sends the wrong message to children. But you come in and you go, let's study this top to bottom. We'll even look in the shoe boxes to make sure they didn't slip into there. Before you know it, you've got that kid almost half asleep because of the talking, and you give them that reassurance. Well, that trine is reassuring you that if you just face those difficulties, or even if you're like, oh my God, what have I done? The credit card thing. Well, get that thing paid off. When you can get a lower interest, do it. If not, just get it done. Go crazy? No. Make better decisions in the future. For some of you, there's going to be a fraction of you that have that Queen of Wands and or Queen of Cups, who she's just sweet as pie, but hey, maybe she wants lip gloss. But there could be one of this element coming obvious where one of the two of them might even just kind of, blink or bat their lashes and sham wow. So the Sun in Capricorn will quintile Chiron in Pisces. So Capricorn, again, that 12th house, that is hosting not only Pluto but Mercury. Got a parallel with the Sun. And that Chiron in Pisces, trying to work things out about the way you feel about those possessions and the way you feel about your value system as it relates to these objects, needs an adjustment so that you can make better decisions now. It's really about the now in this case. It doesn't mean go solve the credit card tonight. This is just talking about a need to just stay steady, though, because Chiron can make us do some crazy things, or crazy things happen around us like, oh yeah, I feel so good that this Christmas we have $500 saved. And, your husband goes, we do. And you're like, oh no, oh no. Oh no, he added to his trading card game or something, didn't he? Oh geez, or there's like 14 new exotic fish in the tank, and then, you look in the refrigerator and there again, no ingredients to cook with, and we're going to end up going out to eat and putting crap into our bodies. So remember that the lesson here is also to stay consistent. Mercury in Capricorn will semi-square, semi-sextile, I can't remember. Sagittarius. So Saturn and Sagittarius, that 11th house, even if you're at a social gathering and everybody's drinking something expensive and bubbly and in a fancy bottle that, if you collect bottles, fine. And you might feel like I need to show up to these people's house with a bag of $300 worth of wine and very, very expensive cheeses. And then in the end, nobody touched it. You brought it home, had to force yourself to eat it, and gained 5 pounds at the, so there's different ways that we can use moderation. I believe the best way is to use modicum, take a modicum of this precautionary, put some stop gaps or speed bumps in place for you. I used to do a trick when I was younger. Let's just say I had like a couple $100 in my billfold. What I figured out helped me from ripping through it in 15 minutes was to put we didn't have Post-it notes. We had these little squares of paper that were in little cubes, or you take paper and you cut it up that way. And then I would put one in front of the $10 mark. Back then, that was a lot of money. One in front of the $10 mark, and I would write, that filled the gas tank. The next one was around $25, and there was a note that said, there won't be, I remember because I was buying lunch at the time where I worked, that there wouldn't be lunch if I spent that. And then the next one was at like 125, and I wrote a little note that said busted, because I knew that then I wouldn't have enough to pay for my car insurance and all of my other expenses, which were not huge, but I was ripping through the money. So use precaution. And isn't prevention the best cure? So just make really good decisions. And I would say, I'm telling everybody, if you're planning on purchasing anything expensive, especially if it has anything to do with, why can't I think of the word? If it has anything to do with whatever that was, I lost it. This is really where you could have a moment like I'm having, right? And not being able to think of it. So whatever my thought was, I lost it, went right out the window. I was looking at my drink and I wanted it. And no, it's not alcohol. It's a Diet Pepsi or something that was given to me. So just realize that these adjustments and these changes, the prevention that you need to put into place, maybe use some Post-it notes or tape flags, write on your money, or, because it's just too easy nowadays. I used to rip through money because I always had cash. Then the ATMs were a thing. And so the machine, I don't usually walk around with cash anymore. And it's all this plastic card, just safe. And at the same time, it's scary because it becomes too easy to spend. So make good decisions, Aquarius. We'll be talking about your career and finances for next week too. And I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful end of year holiday season. I'm wishing you well, and I'll talk to you soon.